Hello everyone, this is Chandan and welcome to Fourth Enthusiast. In the last chapter we saw the high voltage and low voltage architecture of EVs. This chapter let's look at what is powering those circuits. We are going to talk about batteries. I get a lot of questions on fire, range anxiety, replacement cost of the batteries and the cost itself for the batteries. But this is probably not the right video to do it. We'll do a follow-up video for that specific topics. Few things I want to get it right from the very beginning is that batteries are all DC powered. So that is direct current. There will be one positive and one negative terminal for a battery. You cannot charge a battery while you are discharging a battery. You might be thinking, oh, that doesn't make sense. I use my phone while I'm charging. I use my laptop while it is charging. So how does that work? Now, when you are using your phone while charging, the charger is actually powering your phone and whatever is remaining is being sent into your battery. Same for your laptop. When your laptop is running, it can run completely without the battery. The charger is providing the entire power to run the laptop. Batteries have a voltage range. So there is a specific voltage in which you can charge or discharge the batteries. And in a 21700 NMC, let's say, the voltage range will be around 2.5 to 4.2 volt. Going above this voltage or below this voltage, it's both bad for the batteries. You could have fire incidents, you could kill the batteries basically if you exceed or go below this voltage limit. So you have to always give the right voltage. You have to always pull the right voltage out of a battery. Now let's look at what is happening inside a battery cell. So in a lithium ion or any ion cell, the functionalities are almost identical across the board. The only things that are changing are the materials that are used for creating these anode and cathode and so on. Within a battery cell, you have a cathode, an anode, an electrolyte, and a separator. Irrespective of which battery you're using, the construction is almost identical. The difference is in what materials and what chemistries are used for these four components. Let's start with the charging. So when you're charging, you are introducing electrons at the anode end, and lithium ions will move from the cathode side across the separator to the anode. When you're discharging, these lithium ions will move back to the cathode, releasing the electron. So this process allows for electrons to be generated at the anode end. But because the separator is an insulator, it does not allow for electrons to pass through. While the lithium ions can pass through it, the electrons actually have to take the long path. So you want to get some work done, you want to make a machine work in DC, you put it in the path of the electrons. So electrons make the path from anode to cathode through the external loop, while the ions actually take this path through the separator. I hope it clarifies how the cell works. For these four components, you use different chemistries, different materials. So cathode, you might have already heard the NMC, LFP and so on. So these basically represent what are the chemicals or what are the materials within these cathode. So you have nickel, manganese, cobalt, lithium, aluminum and so on. You have lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt making one chemistry. You might have lithium, nickel, cobalt, aluminum making another chemistry. So you have these cathodes, and then you have some of the experimental cathodes. So whatever materials we are using right now could change in future. We have some ethical difficulties in getting cobalt. So we are moving towards a different chemistry, like an LFP chemistry. It could also change to something else like a sodium chemistry. Then you have anodes. So anodes actually are made of graphite, silicon graphite composites. And there are some experimental anodes that are coming, graphene, nanowires, silicon nanowires and so on. Graphene is said to be like the king of anodes as of now, but yeah, only time will tell. And then you have electrolytes. So whenever you hear the term solid state batteries, this is what they are referring to. So the electrolytes are what allows for the ions to travel from the cathode to anode. So these are very important for a cell. As of now, we use liquid electrolytes, gel electrolytes and so on. The next generation would most probably be solid state electrolytes. And there are ceramic based electrolytes, glass electrolytes being worked on. The person who built the first lithium ion batteries, his company, his research institute is actually working on solid state glass electrolytes right now. And then you have ionic, aqueous, polymer and so on, different types of electrolytes. And then you have separators. So separators have the job of, like the name says, it is separating the anode and the cathode, because if you have the anode and cathode in contact, that is a short circuit. So you might remember a few years back when we had the Samsung fire incident with the phones. So the issue there was that the anode and cathode were coming in contact. So the separator was not doing its job. And separator also provides the strength for the batteries in binding all the components, and it's usually made of polyethylene, polypropylene, and so on. And these separators actually allow for lithium ions to pass through and does not allow for electrons to pass through because these are insulators. Now there are some new experimental separators being developed like silicon based, graphene based, carbon nanotubes, and so on. One might be thinking, okay, if we know that all of these have some strength, all of these have some advantages, why not mix and match like a good permutation combination of all four of these and get the best possible battery? It's not so easy. So when you take the parameters of a cell, there are several parameters, but the key 6 parameters would be the cost, specific energy, specific power, performance, lifespan, and safety. So whenever you build a chemistry for a battery, you pick a cathode, you have to pick an anode that works with this cathode, then you also have to pick a separator and electrolyte again that works with this combination. And then you will have a cost associated with it, and you will have a specific energy, power, performance associated with it. If you plot that into a radar chart, it will look like this. So these are different chemistries, and each of these chemistries have their own advantages and disadvantages, and it's always a compromise. You always have to compromise on one thing or another to make a cell more capable. Sometimes you want more lifespan, but while you're trying to do it, it gets very costly. Sometimes you want more performance, and then it becomes less safe. So it is often an ideal compromise that we have to make, not an ideal cell that we can make. But as research improves, more materials are identified, more chemistries are involved, we might see in a decade or so batteries improve significantly. I hope that makes the chemistry part clear. Next chapter we'll move towards how to make this into a cell, how to make that cell into a module to a battery pack. See you with the next video. Bye.